Okay, now we are on to lesson 4 in the same unit. We're still talking about functions, what they return. Sometimes they don't return anything, void functions. So print versus return. There's always a confusion for beginners or as programmers first to see what is a function doing when it prints and when it returns, for example, right? So print, as this bug alert says, print is for people. It's for us to visualize, to know that something is happening in the program. So print just throws a message on the screen. That's all it does. It has no effect on the variable or calculations or what's returned from the function. So if we take a look at this function, for example, right, this is the foo function that we had before and the check even. So if you look at this, let's see, there are some functions that print and some functions that return. So if you look at main, for example, main declares a variable called mynum equals 0. Then we call the foo function. Foo function, nothing inside parentheses. That means imagine yourself going to this room called foo. I'm not taking anything with me because there's nothing inside the parentheses. You go empty-handed. You go in there, you declare this variable called num. You get a random number from, the random.randint, and you put it into num, and you return with that num. This is actually coming back from that room called foo. You come back and you bring that random number multiplied by 2 back, and you put it into this container called mynum. So now you came back with something. And then you have a print statement here that says you print that number, whatever that number might be. Then you turn around. Now you're doing something different. Initially, you went to foo, you didn't take anything with you. Now you're going to check even. Imagine yourself going into this room called check even, but you're taking this number with you to get it checked out to see if it's even or odd. So you take this number called mynum with you, you jump to line 9, so you're in this room called check even. When it gets there, mynum becomes num. It gets copied into num, okay? So remember, it's a different container in there. This is not the same as this, but it has the same value because the value that you brought back from mynum gets put into num. So num has, let's say, 14. Let's say this number was 7. It got multiplied by 2. So mynum was 14. So mynum is 14. This 14 gets copied into num here. So this num is 14. Now I'm checking if num mod 2 is equal to 0, which it is, because 14 divided by 2, the remainder is 0. It's going to print it's even. Else, it's going to print it's odd. We are not bringing anything back. We're simply printing a message to the screen saying, hey, this number was even. Whatever number you brought to me was even or odd. And when this statement is done executing, the function pretty much ends because there's nothing after that. If it's going into the if, it's never going to come to the else. So the function is done. It comes back to line 19, doesn't bring anything back, it just comes back. So the print statement has nothing to do with what it's bringing back. And this has nothing to do with what it's bringing back either, that num. That's what it's receiving. Line 7 is what is actually returning something, meaning it's returning with a value. That's getting put into mynum here. So see, these two functions, or three functions, do different things. This function takes a value, it prints something. This function foo doesn't take anything, but it produces something inside its function, and we bring it back to main. And we turn around and take that number and send it to this number, or to this function check even, that takes it and prints a message for us. So you see there's a difference between the print and the return. The print is just a message. The return is actually something that comes back from the function.